Hi, welcome back to Mechanic Garage. Today I'm going to be doing a bit more on the Rover. Got new brake pads for the front because they were a bit thin, and the rears, when I looked, they're about halfway, so I thought while they're doing it, replace a lot. Also the wheel nuts, I had a choice of buying a set to get rid of the locking wheel nuts and then some plastic caps from all, or just to clean them all up and paint them. So I went for the fixing it option rather than the buying more stuff option. So what I've done, that's what they start off like, horrible and rusty. Give them a damn good clean up, rotary wire brush, and then satin black. I don't know if it's showing up very well. Basically just tidies the wheels up without spending any more money. I already had the paint, so yeah, front and rear pads to go in. Not checked if the right ones yet, but they look like it. There was seemed to be pretty good for these, that they're the only ones listed for all of them. And clean up the rear discs, get rid of the spider webs. They're not worn, they're just well, a tiny little bit of wear, but strip the hub off and clean up the handbrake. Yeah, the pads, yeah, they're about halfway. It's worth doing. So I'll get these stripped. I'll clean the discs up in the usual manner on the front when I do the front discs. Front pads. And then, in case of getting it back together, get tyres, new tyres and that back on it. New wheels and tyres even. And it's not far off done then. Just waiting for the guy to get back to me about this repair panel for there. Other than that, it's just cleaning up. It's amazing how bad the discs get from just being sat for a few months. The brakes work fine, it's just they haven't been working for a while. But everything, same as everything, it's sort of sitting around a little bit. All starts going rusty. But I'll get on with cleaning these up, and we'll sort out getting the pads fitted. Right, I'll go with the front brake pads first. The brake fluid level is on the maximum. So I'm going to have to suck a bit out because all the pads are worn. And what happens when your pads wear down, calipers all fill up with fluid, so the level in there drops. And then people fill it up. Then when you come to change the pads, it just overflows and makes a right mess and ruins your paintwork. So if you're ever doing it, make sure that's not going to overflow before. You can bleed it out the bottom if you haven't got a sucker. Just pump it through as if you're bleeding the brakes. But I can draw a load out. It is clean what's in there, so. But I'll get on with changing the pads and then go from there. Can't really see an awful lot, but basically it's a little vacuum pump that'll draw out enough fluid that yeah, I'll leave that in there so that any drips go into it rather than back into there, and I'll just keep my eye on it as I push pistons back. As I push the pistons back into it, the fluid fills up. There you go, see a little bit more. Now the wear indicators it's got, it hasn't come with any new ones, but it hasn't worn these ones, so you can pull them out and reuse them. Some pads you get come with them, some don't. These ones don't. So yeah, basically it wears through a little plastic circuit, little plastic thing, and that breaks the circuit and puts your warning on to say your pads are worn out. Not all cars have them, sometimes they only have them on one side, so it's always worth checking them properly anyway. 7mm Allen keys, which for a while were a bit like Torx, where manufacturers put them on to stop people working at home. But then people started selling 7mm Allen keys. You didn't get them in a set normally. So then they brought out Torx. Again, people didn't have them. People started manufacturing. Then they brought out security Torx with a dot in the centre. Obviously they're better in some ways. You get a lot more torque and a lot more points rather than on flat surfaces. You get them into corners which are sharper and stronger. But I'm sure half of it is just to stop people working at home, and then you start with all the electronics and computer systems and things that you can't do anything in your car these days without having a computer. You can't do service resets, you can't do brake pad changes or some with electric pads, electric calipers, sorry. It's get these out of the way. Get the clip off. It can be a bit of a pain sometimes if it's stuck. But, right, before I do any more, let's squeeze the caliper back. I should have done this before, Amber, I forgot. See that level's coming up already. There's still some left, but not enough really. Get the new ones. When you compare the new and the old, it's quite a bit of difference. Stick them back to back to make sure they're the same shape and fittings, and obviously testing them in the caliper is the best way of doing it. But before you do any of that, ideally you want to clean up any bits of rust on these faces. That's what a lot of the time you get sticking pads and binding brakes. It's because of these. Because generally the pads don't move very much, and they gradually move as they wear, so they tend to rust in one place. You chip off any loose bits, clean it all up. And you make sure they fit nicely, don't jam up. They're nice and loose. Now that's actually got the anti-squeal shim on the back. Different schools of thought. I still tend to put a bit of grease on the back, which I've forgotten to pick up. Yeah, tiny smear of copper grease. Some people don't do it. Some people say you shouldn't use it. The way I see it is, it's not going to hurt it, and I've been doing it for years. And a little tiny bit on the hooks where the pads sit. Don't get around the disc or the pad. On there, just where they sit, just so less likely to rust. And then it's supposed to stop the squealing. I'm not entirely sure why that ever does, but it's one of the things you were taught years ago. It might be relevant now, but it's old habits die hard. Right, and this one with a spring clip on the back goes back into the caliper. Now, they can be a bit of a pain if the caliper spring, if the springs are quite strong, which these seem to be. There you go. Case of refitting it. It's best checking these as well, clean the sliders up, because the exposed parts tend to get a bit of corrosion on, and now you've got the caliper in a different place, they may catch a bit, so it's always worth Just cleaning them up. Again, some people grease these. I have done in the past. It's like a light smear, but you need ideally rubber grease so it's not going to affect the rubber sleeve that it's going into. But because these are nice and free and they're not stiff or anything, I don't think there'll be any issue with that. Essentially the fronts and the rears are different sizes but identical setup, apart from the handbrake, which is on the inside of the drum, I believe. I've not looked fully, but from what I've seen of it, that's what I'm imagining is going to be there. I haven't looked, but there don't seem to be a cable onto the caliper. There you go. Missed. You get your two little caps that go on the ends, where indicator can go back in. You can buy these separately if you need to, but yeah, they just sit there like that. And spring clip. These can be a bit of a pain, but they're generally alright if you get used to them over the years. Get the ends in. There you go. Some are a bit more awkward than others. Got little tabs on there and there that hooks behind and there, so they're a little bit tighter. That rubber's supposed to be there, or there, I guess so. They move about, but stop it squeaking. Right, and that's that one done. Same on the other side, and I'll start on the back. Leave the wheels off for now because I'm going to clean up the disc by using it on the front as I've done before, spinning around. Cleans it up better. Can't see any reason it won't work. Clean up the handbrake inside as well, because it's starting to rain now. Brilliant. And that's that done. Moving on to the rears now. Same setup, it's a bit smaller, except on the inside of this here, that's like a small brake drum, and you'll have two small shoes inside now. They can rust and the linings fall off, so I don't know whether that's going to be an issue. I'll find out when I get in there. If that's the case, I shall get new ones. But before we crack anything else, I'll get this off. The handbrake should hold it anyway. If it'll come on. Yeah, there you go. And everything's quite covered in a lot of grease, which is a good thing because it saves everything seizing up. You can have a bit too much grease though, especially out here, because as it spins it ends up flicking out onto the inside of your wheel and on your brakes and everything else. You have a slight bit around the inside of here so the wheel doesn't stick on it. You get alloy wheels and steel hubs, they corrode together. You've probably seen me with other cars who haven't done, I think it was a Volvo, and I really had to kick the wheels hard and spin them around and kick them sideways to actually crack them off this spigot in the centre. But right, I have noticed that these are a lot more inaccessible because of the the shock absorber being in the way, so I got the extension for the 7mm. Maybe get in from behind the shock absorber. There you go. Ow! Yeah, suddenly let go. And the same with the bottom one. Yeah, they're a bit on the tight side. Right, the spring clips on the back are slightly different. You basically lift them up to release a little catch here. And they come out. Essentially the same as the front ones, just a big piece of springy metal. And again, push the pistons back. Okay, so getting in to make a gap. There you go, that's piston pushed all the way back into it. So now when I take it off, the piston's all the way back, gives enough room for the new calipers, new pads even, in the caliper. It's one of the thing with this, I mean, I know I'm probably tempting fate, but everything I've been to through all the jobs that I've done on this car, it's all come apart. I've not had any, not that I remember any sheared bolts I had to drill out, any rusty bolt heads. I mean, they were really well built cars. I mean, yeah, you'll have some, I mean, you'll get some that you look at and they've disintegrated, so I know it's not every single one, but touch wood, this one seems alright. Get off. The pads are a bit stuck in there. Yeah, there's still quite a bit of meat left on these back ones, but I thought, yeah, there's still quite a bit left. But as I'm changing the fronts, change the back, because I hadn't actually got that far. Sorry, I hadn't actually had it apart to know how good they were. Right, get to the caliper carrier off so I can get the disc off. Because although I could just sand it, it's not actually that bad, but get rid of the brown stuff, get out in good clean metal, because otherwise the pads will just polish it up and make them go black, and then it's not as effective. 13 maybe. In reality, that was about a half an hour break. I'm gutted. 13mm, 12-13mm spanner I've had forever. I used it last night, and I've used it on the Wartburg, then I took it for a test drive. I can't find it. So I'm guessing I left it on the inner wing or somewhere and it's disappeared. I've ridden my bike down to as far as I went and back. I can't see it. I'll have to just dig through the shed and find another one. Because that was my last one. I'd already lost my bloody snap-on one years at work. Years ago. Oh well, mourning the loss of my favourite spanner. Never mind. And it's now raining. But we shall carry on. Maybe, it depends how heavy this gets. I'll start by getting this off anyway, and if it does chuck it down, I'll just see me run off. Get the carrier off to get the disc off, and then we'll find out what state that's in on the inside. Can't believe I lost that. It'll either turn up just because I'm blind, or I'll never see it again. I mean, with my job I spend a lot of time up and down the country, working everywhere. So my tools are always out of my van. So I'm pretty good at making sure they go back. I think I've lost a screwdriver and 2 spanners in nearly 10 years. And I found a spanner and a screwdriver. I found various other tools that belong to other people. But right, anyway, is that handbrake off? Now, as I said, there's a chance either A, it won't come off, or B, it's going to bring the shoe linings with it, or C, just be stuck. Now, there'll be an adjuster in here somewhere, and yeah, okay. Yeah, for future reference, leave that bolt in, because now it's all gone a bit off centre and it's catching the shoes on the inside. And there you go. Right. Well, if there's no adjuster in here, then it must be just on the cable, but that's... You're probably all telling me it's on the cable, but it'd be unusual if there isn't one in here. I'm gonna have to have a look online and find out before I try and wreck it. But I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, quick look on the internet and confirmed what I thought it was. It's just a lot higher up and I couldn't see it. I'll try and show you it. I don't know if you better see it or not. There it is. That toothed ring there. We're just above the spring. You get your screwdriver into that to wind the adjuster off. I knew there would be, but I thought it'd be a bit more visible than that. At least I know it's there now. It's chucking it down, so I'm going to just see if I can free this off, and then hopefully it'll stop. I'll stick the camera there, because otherwise it's going to get wet. Right, that's 12 goes on it. Because there'll be a lip where the handbrake rubs. So in theory, there you go. Easy as that. That's your inside of your handbrake drum. It's like an old, basically miniature brake drum that you used to get on most cars. Little shoes, which actually look good. Don't look that old. Oh no, big spider. Wakey wakey spider. Yeah, sorry if you don't like spiders. I'm not that keen, but yeah. Anyway, I'll get all this cleaned up and get the drums cleaned. Bolt it to the front in a minute. Clean up the shoes, put it back together. That's alright then. At least on this side, I don't need to replace anything else, which is good. Yeah, you can see the adjuster there a lot better. So what you're doing when you get the screwdriver through the hole is catching these teeth to make that bit either shorter or longer, which pushes the shoes in or out. And what you tend to find with them, if they need adjusting, when the handbrake's on, the car will rock backwards and forwards as those shoes will move. They'll sort of rock and you'll be able to feel it, or when you get hold of the wheel you can move it slightly side to side. Now, adjusted up properly, they shouldn't do that. As well, the other thing as well is you put it on when you're moving it all and it goes big bang and grabs, because it sort of catches and then pulls itself in rather than being steady. So I'll get these stuck on the front, fire it up, jam one wheel and clean them up. Clean up the brake drum, its surface as well, and then I'll go back together. Right, you can see I bolted the rear disc to the front, and what I'm going to do, start her up in gear, and then that'll start to spin. Now, as I said before, if you're not confident, don't do it. There's too much going on for losing fingers. Stay at this side. If you do, don't go near the caliper because it gets narrow. Don't put your fingers inside the nuts or blah blah blah. Anyway, disclaimer, don't do this if you don't want. I'm not showing you this is how you do it. This is how I do it. So I'll just start her up. That particular was being in second gear, so I might have to go for gear, but basically, get your fingers away, cross everything off. See the difference of that already, but you're getting the black off. Getting the dark, getting down to good clean metal, getting rid of the black, rusty stuff. I've already done the main disc, but then he's sat a few weeks, so main disc, front disc. It won't hurt, just give him a quick scuff over. And you've got the drum surface. Just watch the wheel nuts inside. You'll be able to feel if there's any high spots, like there's one on it now, you might be able to see it flashing past. There's a patch where it's just grabbing slightly. Which means the handbrake will fluctuate. To clean them all out. You see it grab then, that's why you stay away from anything. It pushes you away from it rather than pulling you in. Watch out, it does get warm. That should be it. A lot better than it was. Clean up alright, you still get slight marks, a bit of pitting, but that'll embed in with brake pads, whereas if you're doing it just on the brake pads you end up with compressed, polished up rust, which isn't great. Plenty of meat left on them, just slight surface wear, which is fine. Right, give them a quick wash out, and then just on the shoes, just a quick scuff over, because you've rubbed the surface smooth, these will no longer match properly, so give them a good scuff over to get rid of the shine. probably better having a mask on. Although there's no asbestos and stuff in things anymore. They replaced it with something, didn't they? And asbestos issues started years later. So who's to say whatever's in them now isn't going to be an issue later in life. So really, you should have a mask. Or dampen it down. The rain's starting again. Clean off any excess grease. This has got a bit too much on, really. Although it helps me get it apart, you also run the risk of it spraying into the brakes. Right, anyway, so this is just cleaned up a little bit. Make one hole there for the locating bolt. Nip that up. When the wheels are on, it serves no purpose whatsoever anyway, so you don't need to swing on it. Same with the caliper from the front. It's a little bit easier because you've got it off in your hand. Just clean up these lines where the pads sit. Wire brush it and anything don't come off, give it a good scrape. I keep losing things. Where's the screwdriver gone? Oh, I know where it is. I put it into the disc, into the vent part of the disc on the other side to stop the wheel spinning. So I'll just stick this out the side slightly. I'll just scrape the muck out. You can't really see, but can't do it in fresh air. There we go, there's that. Now it's easier to set the handbrake whilst you've got the caliper off because you've just got free run. It spins a lot easier. Now I've just seen the video that the guy was doing on the internet about disconnecting and adjusting the handbrake cable, so I might have to do that first. In fact, what I will check inside is how much. So if the linkage is all the way off, then I don't need to. But if it's already part pulled, now you've got a tiny little bit of free play there, which means it's not adjusted on the cable. Because if it was, that'd be tight. That's okay then. So I just need to adjust the drum up, not the cable as well. So it should be a bit easier. So if there's any tension on the cable, then that would be tight, not loose in the shoes. Right, let's find this adjuster again. And this time I need to be adjusting it upwards, and then levering the, twisting it up. I can't even see it. At least the rain's stopped now. Right, there it is. Winding it outwards, which then makes the shoes tighter. I can feel that now, going tighter. It's solid on the disc. You can go out till it's tight. What I would normally do is give them a knock with a plastic hammer or a brass hammer, just to centralise it, shock anything out. But that's now still solid. Needs to now we wind it the other way. 2 or 3 clicks. Got ever so slight rub. Might be a bit too much, so we'll try one back. No, that's a little bit too much, so we'll go back one more clip. There you go. So now when you pull the cable, as soon as you pull it, that's putting your handbrake on. There's no room for the shoes to shift about inside. So that's that bit done. Caliper back on. Yeah, you see, that's not ideal. It's hanging off the brake pipe, but it's not actually pulling the pipe because it's sitting on the union. So the weight's supported there, but the pipe's still fairly loose, but you really should tie them up. Spot of thread lock, and I mean literally a spot. A little tiny bit on the threads just to stop them coming undone. Don't go mad with it, because the more you put on, the harder they are to get in and out. Just as often coming loose, which they weren't that loose anyway. I had another look around the Wartburg for my spanner. It's not there. So it'll either miraculously appear somewhere that I haven't noticed I put it down, or I'll never see it again. So if anybody finds an old, well used, but still very good, brittle 12-13 combi spanner, let me know. See, that's the problem. This is a lot thinner. The other one didn't hurt your hands when you tighten stuff up. This one does. Just instantly notice the difference. It's daft things, it's only a tool light, but you know straight away it's different. As with the front, you got the sliders. Give them a quick clean just to get the muck off the exposed portion, because you'll be using that now. Make sure there's no rust or anything on, they're all good and clean. Excuse me. Like that. Excuse me. Then it's the same as before. Make sure your pads fit nice and loosely. No sticking. A little bit in the hook. Gloves are ripped again. And then you get the rainwater off. A little bit on the back where the caliper clamps to it. Same with the other ones, you've got the springy clip on the other side. And you got the hooks. Really can't do it with these gloves, the fingers all gone. I push in. Easy as that. And you got your 7mm Allen key again. Worthwhile getting one if you plan on doing brakes on anything sort of from the last 20 years onwards. Usually have pins you have to knock in and out, whole box holes and things with the roll pins, and then you get stuff with split pins like the Wartburg, and the 205 was even weirder. So you got the there's like a wedge, slide out the wedge and just lift the caliper out. And then you got like a little tiny clip that held it in, which didn't look like it's really that good at staying where it was, but it does seem to. Tighten these up. They don't need to be stupid tight, because all they do is, as soon as they're in and nipped, they're tight. Only a small thread. They don't bolt the caliper on, they just provide the sliding mounting. You probably can't see anything from my leg, but it's a bit awkward to get in. little blanking caps for the ends. And then this clip, which now is full of rainwater and muck. Give it a quick scuff over, it's not getting replaced or anything. Slightly easier than the fronts, just because the fact that the big springy clips, and you can adjust them, or you move them from down below a lot easier than you can on the wire clips of the others. There you go, that's that in. Stops the caliper rattling around. Incidentally, once you've done all this, each time you do one, pump the brake pad a little, lower the brake fluid level slightly, because remember at the beginning I took some out because it was rather maximum. I've done 3 now, and it's there. There's a level, and I took it right down beyond that, so you've already gained another this much. If you pump it now, it'll go down slightly, and then you get the last one to do, which I'll do on double speed again. And get this done, and get the wheels back on with paint the last wheel nuts. I just had a thought. I wonder if I picked up a spanner in the wiring loom that I was using for spare parts yesterday. So I went back to the shed and here it is. Thank God for that. On the plus side, it made me cycle down the road about a mile and back trying to find it. Yeah, I've had that for getting on 30 years now. Part of a set of them. Brittle. Thank God for that. Just suddenly twigged it's the only place I didn't look, and it was the last thing I did was wiring. So that's cheered me up. Even if it rains now, I don't care. Well, they're all clean now, still running, and obviously because it's got a diff in it, open diff, to stop that wheel spinning, jammed a wheel against here. Now I can only assume it takes the speedo reading from the driver's side front wheel, because as soon as I put that there, so this wheel on this side sped up slightly, I heard a clunk. It's locked itself. Luckily, thank God, I've got a spare key. If I didn't have a spare key, that could have been interesting. Ironically, the first time I did it, I had the window open. Then it rained, so I shut it. However, I didn't slam the boot earlier. Yeah. So at least through there, in the middle, there would have been access somehow into the car. Yeah, don't do that. That'd be really bad. And you can shout at me, going, my car locked itself. Yeah, you'd need to get from the hatch there to that button there. So that would be a... somebody sat at the side going left a bit, right a bit, down, press it, there you go. It would have been able to do it, however, luckily I got a spare key. Anyway, just continue putting these back together. Just now the front's all clean, I can do this. Right, that's brakes done. Quite a big job done now, and that's pretty much it. Going back to the beginning of the video when I was on about the wheel nuts, all the little things, but it makes a big difference. They were all rusty before, as you see. Now you've got shiny new tyres. Wheels will need a polish because they've gotten a bit dull with the cleaning agent, and of course each and every wheel's got the locking wheel nut at the bottom of the Rover badge, because I'm sad like that. They always go in the same place. There you go. But rusty wheel bolts, basically free by cleaning them up and using paint I already had. Now I've got one more set to paint because I didn't want to paint them all up. So this side's only got a couple on each side. Again, but all four are done. Just got one more set to paint now and get it back on the ground. Then I'll get that panel, get that welding done, get it to the paint shop, and then if somebody wants to buy a very, very well sorted diesel Rover 75 with, if I double check, full service history and 105,000 mile, I think that's what it is. I've a new windscreen in by then because I've got the crack in it, as I said before. But now the screen's gone dark now because the battery's nearly dead. So I shall wrap this one up and hopefully get it on later on. I figured if you load it up in Ultra HD, it takes about 6 hours. If you do it in HD, which it's filmed in, then it takes about half an hour. And they don't go on at midnight, so hopefully some people actually get them on the evening rather than midnight or 2 in the morning when it's finally finished uploading. Right, any comments? Greatly received. Like and subscribe if you haven't sort of subscribed already. This one's nearly finished. I really could do with doing a video on the Skoda because that's built, finished, used, and is there ready to go. So, but beyond that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in another video, and hopefully we'll have a bit more progress. Thank you.